Hey, hello, hello, hello. For everybody that is out there in YouTube land. I hope you can hear me okay. Hold on, let me let Facebook know that I am going live. So hold on 1 second. Let them know that I am going live on YouTube. Okay. As you can look at the title, you can already see what we are talking about today. Hold on 1 second. Okay, as you can already see, what we are talking about today, we're talking about wisdom, right? Over WAP. Now, people already, excuse my animal in the back. My husband's on the way in, so she can sense her daddy is on the way in. But anyway, we're talking about wisdom and how it is definitely in short supply while WAP is in surplus, right? And the reason we want to discuss that is because as we look to the future and look to, just look at the trajectory of where things are going as far as our young girls, our daughters, cousins, nieces, we have to be mindful of the messages that we are sending out and the messages that we are portraying as it relates to our kids and the things that they are going to be, looking to for role models. Now, so I want to just get on here and talk about a few things that as women, especially, we really have got to start doing as far as raising our level of awareness of what's important. For those of you who do not know me, my name is Sierra Exantis. I teach women how to date well so they can marry well. But here recently, I've been more so focused less on dating and more so on the mindset that is required to discern and have a successful dating life. Because truly, that is one of the things that we are missing and that we are lacking, and that is discernment. The discernment to know and understand what's important when it comes to dating. Because, I used to just think a long time ago, I used to think, man, what's going on? Why aren't women, marrying in the capacity that they want to and getting in the type of relationships that they want to? Why are they settling? What's going on? And one of the things I realized is that a lot of people just simply don't have the tools or don't have the wisdom or the knowledge. And even the Bible, it tells us, we perish because of lack of knowledge. And I think that right now we are seeing a lot of that, especially as it relates to our people, our community, the Black community, because we really are missing what I would call leadership, strong female leadership that empowers, that really truly empowers and leads to something positive. So without further ado, I'll go ahead and get into the content of what we're discussing today. And first thing I want to say is, first of all, if you are watching this video, whether you end up watching me live or you end up coming on here after the broadcast has already been uploaded after the fact, please do me a favor, click the subscribe button, like this video, and share it out, because this is a very important message, something that I'm going to be discussing more often. And if you like my shirt here, Wisdom Over WAP, you can head over to datewellmarrywell.com and look into our products, and you can get that as well. I'm gonna go ahead and put that in the chat. And this is my first time going live on YouTube, so I figure I would come over here and see what it do over here. Right. So anyway, the first thing is this: when it comes to wisdom over WAP, we all know, WAP, this popular song that was made popular by what was it? Cardi B and Meg The Stallion. We already know exactly what it is, what it means, and all of that. And we see how it has not just this, but how just over sexualization is really impacting our culture. So I want to talk about how sexual liberation really is something that, instead of looking at it as something to be celebrated, really take a critical look at the results that we're getting, that the impact is having as a result of, us pushing this is to be such a strong agenda. First thing, wisdom. Okay. In order to have wisdom, you have got to be still. A lot of women are wondering, why is it that I can't find a good man? Why can't I find a suitable mate, a suitable partner, somebody that, loves me for me? And a lot of these women are leading with WAP. They're not leading with their wisdom. They're leading with what's between their thighs instead of what's between their ears. And really and truly, therein lies the issue. Therein lies the problem. Because WAP has a place and it has a purpose, but when we're over-sexualizing ourselves, over-sexualizing our girls, our community, we got to wonder, why is it that we are not getting the results that we want? Okay. And what I always tell women who I've coached in the past, women that I currently work with, I always say, you got to really get still. Okay. You got to get still and look at your past and learn from your past and learn from your mistakes so that you don't repeat them in your future. So the first thing is to know that the answers that you seek, there was a quote by this guy, Leon Brown. It says, the answers that you seek never come when your mind is busy. They come when the mind is still and silence speaks loudest. And this is so very true. Okay. They come when you're still. And a lot of people don't realize this, but when you are so busy, you don't give yourself the time to really reflect. You don't give yourself the time to really just sit still and know and understand what's happening, what's going on with me, what's going on with my life. You don't check in with self. And I'm a Christian through and through. I'm not perfect by any means, but I do try to stay on course with the word in order to conduct my life and also to rear my children. And my husband's pretty much on that same page as well. Hey, if you're just joining, thank you for joining the broadcast. Also, let me know if you can hear me, because it's my first time using this mic and going live on YouTube. But I was just saying, we got to get still. And I'm a Christian, so I know that one of the things that's super important when it comes to dating is stillness. Because a lot of times we just go. We don't think about the repercussions of our actions. We don't think about what it is that we're doing, what it is that we're not doing. We just go from one experience to the next with never getting still and evaluating what it is that we did, where we went wrong, how we can change things. So with that being said, I want to bring a verse to you that really makes sense and is really applicable to our life when it comes to stillness. And it's Numbers 9:8. It says, and Moses said unto them, stand still, and I will hear what the Lord will command concerning you. And what that tells me is that when you get still, you can hear from God. Okay, you can hear God, you can hear what he's trying to tell you. You can hear you can hear things that you normally wouldn't hear or understand without his counsel, without the stillness of his counsel, right? And stillness helps you to evaluate your next move. So with that being said, don't worry about just going from one experience to the next. Take that time to be still and get the wisdom that you seek so that it can lead you on a trajectory of where you want to go. Don't always feel like you got to be so anxious to give it up or to do things that don't align with who you are. Especially now, a lot of women feel a lot of pressure to lead with WAP when it comes to relationships, because that's what we see. We see it in surplus. We hear things like, oh, what you won't do, what he won't do the next, what she won't do the next one will. And we hear all these little messages that make us feel like, man, dang, maybe I need to, give it up prematurely, or maybe I need to, loosen up or whatever. When a lot of times that way of thinking is leading more to our detriment than it is to our the destiny that we want. So stillness helps you to better evaluate your next move. Okay, that's the first thing. Be still. The second thing is this: be selective. When it comes to dating, trust me, you have choices. My mom always told me, listen, you have choices, but today, in this day and age, we don't always exercise being selective. We just pretty much work with whatever comes, or we look left and see what the next person's doing, and look right and see what the other person's doing, instead of looking internally. And with that being said, we're not guided by our internal compass. We're guided by the world. And even in the Bible, it says, greater is he that is in me than he who is in the world. And that's something that we also have to take into account. Just because, the world is doing something doesn't mean that it's progressive. I always say, just because it's popular doesn't mean it's progressive. Okay? Just because something is popular does not mean that it's progressive. And just because it's popular doesn't mean that everybody doing it likes it. Some people are not natural leaders, so they do what they see. They do what they think is going to get them a result. They do what they think, oh, well, she's out here, living her life being promiscuous. Maybe I'm going to do the same thing. And, she out here getting money using WAP on OnlyFans and, being an Instagram model and doing her thing. But really and truly, that's not the type of lifestyle that really leads to fulfillment for a lot of women. Okay. Also, go ahead and hit the subscribe button, please. If you are watching this video, hit the red subscribe button. Please subscribe to my channel. As I bring more topics like this, more information like this, we'll be discussing it a little more. I would love to dialogue with you and see what you think and what are your thoughts, because obviously this is something that is impacting us. Also, the third thing is this: be discerning. Okay, the first one is be still. The second is be selective. The third thing is be discerning. So many of us we don't discern, we just go. Okay, and one of the things, I have never seen so many women, when it comes to this whole thought culture and WAP culture and everything, I've never seen so many women rallying for their own demise. And what I mean by that is, so many women are advocating for the very things that are causing them trauma, causing them pain, causing them all sorts of issues that they say they don't want, but they're rallying behind this stuff. And really and truly, it's like, where's the discernment? When is the discernment going to kick in? Proverbs 14:12 said, there is a way that seems right to a man, but it ends in the way of death. Okay. A lot of people think that this WAP culture is really the way to go. They really do. And I'm married. I've been married for 10 years. My husband and I have been together for 18. So naturally, I know that WAP has a place, obviously. You know what I mean? I got 2 kids and I have a husband, very happily married. So I'm not saying that WAP itself is the problem, but what is the problem is the misuse of it, the misguided nature in which we go about perpetuating this narrative that this is something that you want to lead with when it comes to dating. This is something that you want to lead with in your everyday life by just, revealing, showing yourself, being revealing and all those different things. So what I'm saying is you got to really understand and be discerning, because we live in a culture that advocates for sexual liberation, right? But sexual liberation really is not as liberating as we think, because sexual liberation leads to a lot of bondage. And I always say the true sexual liberation happens under the covenant of a healthy marriage, because you could be free with somebody who somebody who, you don't have to worry about, the soul ties and them bringing other people and STDs and all of that stuff. And you could really be free. But so many people, they really think that they're advocating for sexual liberation, when in reality, what they're truly advocating for is STDs. Hey, Simone, how you doing, girl? Just sitting here talking about different things that lead to wisdom when it comes to dating. How is the sound? Because like I said, this is my first time on going live on YouTube, and I plan on going live on here more often. So how is the sound? Let me know if it's good in the chat, okay? All right. Thank you. No, but we're just talking. A lot of people say they advocated for sexual liberation. And I was saying, I've never seen so many women advocate for their own demise when it comes to relationships. You get a lot of pushback when you start having these kind of conversations with women about relationships. Because a lot of people, they don't want to be told what to do. They don't want to be corrected. I'm grown, I'm this, I'm that. And they want to argue with you. And I always tell people, I'm not going to argue with you. You got to argue with your results. Don't argue with me, argue with your results. But the whole thing is this. Oh, okay, got this message. But the whole thing is this. Like we're saying, Proverbs 14:12, it says, there is a way that seems right to a man, but its end is in the way of death. And that is so true, because a lot of times there's something that we think as a culture, as a society in the world, there's a lot of things going on right now that the Bible directly says is not right, but we're trying to make it right. We're trying to make it okay, because it's what we want to do. It's what the flesh wants to do. So we're trying to make it okay. We're trying to make it right. And that's the whole thing with this whole sexual liberation. With this whole sexual liberation movement. And like I say, people are not really advocating for sexual liberation. They're advocating for the rotten fruits that sexual liberation produces, which is these STDs, these soul ties, single parenthood, the trauma. And, especially as us Black women, we do carry a lot of trauma, but we are not helping each other. We're not helping our cause any further by further inflicting this pain and this trauma on ourselves by being, quote unquote, sexually liberated. Because most every woman that I talk to does not want to be a single parent. Most every woman that I talk to does not want to be with a partner that makes her vulnerable to STDs. Most every woman I talk to does not want the trauma of a broken or a toxic relationship. Nevertheless, these are the rotten fruits of sexual liberation, but nobody wants to admit that. Nobody wants to talk about that. We want to talk about, oh, the freedom, the this, the money that you can get by promoting your WAP and all of this, but we don't want to talk about the real problems and the struggles that is producing within our community. And we don't want to talk about the fact that so many of our young ladies are going astray because these are the messages that we promote. These are the things that we say is valuable, that is important. And we don't even want to talk about the depression that it creates among so many people. But like I said, the real sexual liberation happens under the covenant of a healthy marriage. That's why you got to lead with wisdom, because believe it or not, men love wise women. WAP is standard with every woman. I always say, vaginas are not unique. Every woman has one. But wisdom is in short supply. And men absolutely love women who are wise. That is why right now we're seeing so much problems within our relationships. And it looks like there's this, there's the duality of this back and forth with men and women, and men against women, women against men. When ultimately we all want the same thing, which is to be happy and healthy and whole. But we, yes, that's right, Simone. WAP is standard. Wisdom is in short supply. And thank you for interacting. And whoever just jumped on, please do me a favor, like, comment, share, interact. We want to hear from you as well, because, we don't talk enough about this stuff. We hear everybody getting online and promoting, things that do not add value to healthy relationships. So I do like to, keep these kind of conversations going. And I plan to get on here more often. So please do me a favor, subscribe to the channel, share this video out, like, comment, all of that good stuff, so that we can really have a real conversation about it. But yeah, like I said, WAP is standard. Everybody has one if you're a female. So it's nothing, God made it that way. And it wasn't meant to be something that was, taboo. That's not that's nothing wrong with that. It's the misuse and the mismanagement of it and the way we wrongly promote it. You know what I mean? Because it's a powerful thing. One thing we do know is it's powerful, but when you misuse something to the extent that it's not valuable anymore, it does lose its power. And I always tell women, men do not value your WAP until they value you. But see, a lot of women have it backwards, because we feel like just because a man, will sleep with us, that and show sexual interest in us, that he sees substance in us. But really, that's not necessarily the case. Men do not look at sex the same way. I hope I can say that on YouTube. I'm still getting familiar with all the guidelines and stuff, but men do not look at, being with a woman physically in the same way that women look at being with a man. That's why we're always the ones hurt, always the ones trying to figure out what's going on and why did he leave me? Why did this happen? Why did that happen? Because we do not take the time, which is my second point, to be a student of men. Okay. The first one was be still. The second one, be selective. The third point is be discerning. And the fourth point is be a student of men. Men study us all the time. And that's why a lot of times it seems like they're winning and they're always getting what they want, because they study us, but we don't study them. And that's one of the reasons why a lot of time we always seem to be losing when it comes to relationships. Not all of us, but some of us, because we do not study. I always say this: if it's something that you want out of life, you got to study that thing. If a healthy relationship is what you want, you got to study the type of men that are in healthy relationships. Study the type of behaviors that lead to healthy relationships. Okay. Don't get frustrated, get informed, because that's really ultimately what is going to help us change. And the thing about men is there's a duality with men. I just got a text here, but there's a duality when it comes to men that a lot of women don't want to acknowledge. And that duality is this: men love sex, which we know that. And as women, we do too, right? But men also love a wise woman who brings more to the table than just that. I always tell women that should never be your priority when you're dating. Don't let that be your priority, because once you make WAP your priority, that's what he's going to see you as. He's going to look at you as WAP. If he just got to get to know you, he don't know nothing about how wise you are, how talented you are. And this could be any woman. I've seen millionaire women, women making six figures, women making 50,000, women making 20, 30,000. It doesn't matter. All of these women experience these traumas and these tragedies when it comes to men, because they don't understand what men value. And men will talk out of both sides of their mouth, please know that, and be like, oh, well, if you ain't giving it up, then I'm not going to date you. And why would you want to be with somebody like that anyway? Because number one, if a person does not have sexual self-control, I wouldn't want to be with nobody like that. I certainly would not want to be with anybody that has no sexual self-control. Because if you can't control that in the beginning of the relationship and you're prioritizing that before you even know my last name or my STD status, that lets me know that your priorities are not in order in the first place. So you don't offend me if I tell you at the onset of us starting to date that, you know, if I tell you that I'm not having sex, you know, as we're getting to know each other, until I really get to know you and feel comfortable with you, or till we're married. If I tell you that, and as a man, you say, well, I can't do nothing with you. Ain't nothing I can do with you. I'm not offended. Matter of fact, I'd rather a person leave and go on about their business, because that tells me right there what their priorities are and what they're about. And I don't want to hitch my life to somebody thinking that that's a deal breaker, me preserving myself. Because one thing you got to know, men always say they don't want women with high mileage, right? High body counts. But at the same time, a lot of them talk out of both sides of their mouth, and they want to do away with the girl who don't want to give it up. Or when I don't want to give it, she don't want to give it up, so I'm not dealing with her. But at the same time, you want somebody that has sexual control and don't have a high body count. That's why I say you have to exercise your wisdom. And don't watch what people say, watch what they do. And have your own internal compass that you live by. People used to tell me all the time, see when they say this is good. Thank you, sis. But people used to tell me all the time when I was dating. Like I said, my husband and I have been together for 18 years. We've been married for 10, very happily married. But people used to tell me all the time during the dating phase, oh, Sierra, you're so mean. You're so mean to men. Why don't you, allow, why don't you give this person a chance or that person a chance? One thing about me, I never was mean to men. I was just real straightforward. If you wasn't the one, you just wasn't the one. I didn't make no bones about it. I didn't feel we had to be ceremonial about it or anything like that. We just, you go your way, I go mine, because I always look at it like this. You can only build a life with one person. Unless you're in one of those poly crazy, open relationships, which I'm sorry, but I can't do it. But you can only build your life with one person. So why concern yourself with what so many other people who just are not aligned with your value system think about your value system? You will find that person that values the thing that you value, but you got to be willing to release those who are not congruent with what you find important. And that's one of the things that a lot of us come into contact with, is our problem with being able to release the wrong type of man so that we can invite the energy of the right type of man. Because one thing I will tell you, if you hit your life to the wrong type of individual just for sake of being married, for sake of, wanting a relationship, that is a recipe for depression. That is a recipe for a lifetime of feeling and incompatible, especially knowing that you're going to have to compete with all these different women because he's never going to see you as good enough. Why would you want to be with somebody like that? It is far more better to be single than to be with someone like that, I think. But not to go too far off on a tangent, just to say, of course, we have got to really start studying men. because, like I said, men are going to be men. And as I was dating, I ran into good ones, I ran into bad ones, I ran into all different types. And some of the good ones just wasn't for me. They was good, but they just wasn't good for me. They was good for somebody else. And I had to be okay with that. So, okay, you know, you might be a great guy, but you're just not for me, because there's an important value system that I cannot do away with, that you don't align with. You know, and I don't want that to be the thing that keeps us from being able to be prosperous as parents if we're building a life together as a couple. So you just have to have that discerningness and that wisdom to understand that, hey, just because they're a good person doesn't always mean they're good for you, and you have to be mature about it. All right. So yeah, be a student of men, because men will talk out of both sides of their mouth and will try to confuse us ladies, especially those of us who do not have the wisdom and discernment to understand how to move out here in these dating streets. The last thing is this: be a change agent for what you want to see. You know, right now, a lot of people I was telling my friend Simone, who is on here right now, supporting me on my first YouTube live. Thank you, girl. I was telling Simone last week when we had lunch how, you know, it's crazy that so many women, we just want to, you know, just give of ourselves, when really men are not the men. They want the woman that men want the women that are more conservative. The things that just because you are prudent, that you're a wise woman, doesn't make you a prude. Okay, especially if there's women who they have probably the best intimacy in the world, that if you've never been married or never been connected with a man who is all about you, you'll never understand it and you'll never know it, because they don't broadcast it. Doesn't mean, so just because these women are wise and are not there putting their sexual business all out in the street, doesn't mean that they're prudes. It doesn't mean that they are that there's something wrong with them, that they got to be nuns or all of this. No, God made, you know, sex for marriage. He made it for marriage. He made it to bond a couple together. And if you as a woman can't bond with a man because you've been with so many different people, because you've been leading with WAP instead of with your wisdom, what is going to happen once you finally do find a man that is compatible with you? Your soul is going to be attached to so many different people, so many different experiences, that it's going to be hard for you to really get with somebody that you feel that you're compatible with. Yes, I love that. Prudent and not prudes. Exactly. And I think people had turned that term, Simone, prudes, into a negative term to try to make people feel bad about wanting to be conservative about, you know, the intimate life and things like that. It's almost like one of those things, like people try to say, oh, you scared, or try to guilt trip somebody into making decisions that just simply don't align with who they are. But that's the whole thing, because if you think about it, the word prudent comes from the word prude, which just simply means that you're wise. You're not out here doing the same thing that everybody else doing just because it's popular. And at the same time, people wondering, why are your results so different? Because I'm exercising my prudence. I'm exercising my wisdom instead of my WAP. Okay. WAP don't need to exercise until the vows have been made, honey. That's when she get all the exercise she need. But up until then, a person has not shown themselves worthy of that. Why are we even introducing that? And I'm not saying I'm perfect. I will tell people all the time, I was not this virgin and this, you know, saint, but I've never been loose now. But I can't say, you know, before me and my husband got married, we was, you know, just celibate. I wish we were, because there's a lot of benefits to that. And I know couples who have been celibate do talk about, you know, the benefits of celibacy, because that is a very important thing. But like I said, we have mismanaged that element of who we are so much as women that men do not even value it anymore. And we're trying to get men to feel like the way we feel. You know, because that's the problem. We try so much to compete with them when we are not like them. We are so different from men. We cannot compete with them and they cannot compete with us. A woman who really understands her value, that's a dangerous woman out here in the dating world. And not only that, she's high in demand because there's not enough of women who really truly understand their value. You got so many women trying to advocate for this sexual liberation. Like I say, they're trying to advocate for these STDs, advocate for these soul ties, advocate for this single parenthood, advocate for all this stress and this trauma that the sexual liberation movement has brought about as a result of, being sexually loose. They want to advocate for this stuff and they want to argue it. But I always say, don't argue. Don't argue with people trying to tell you what's right. Argue with the results you're getting. That's why I don't argue with women when they start talking, oh, but this and this and men. You're not going to stress me out with that argument. Because number one, your results can speak louder than I ever can. So I'm not going to get loud and argue with you. You look at your results. And if your results are not what you want, then you might want to change and start exercising a little bit more wisdom before you get out there. Because I even hear men say there used to be a time where, like, you hear women say, see what they say, yeah, teach. I hear women say all the time, men don't date anymore. They don't want to take us out. A lot of us have been a problem. A lot of us have contributed to that. You look left and you look right. Your sister, your cousin, your auntie, whoever, they out here giving it up so freely because of the sexual liberation movement. We different now. Women different now. Times have changed. Yeah, times have changed. And guess what? People wish things could be back how they were in the old days, where men used to court. Men used to have to actually show themselves worthy of being intimate with the woman. They used to actually have to get to know a woman. But these days, it's so freely given up that men don't value it. It's like you got all these diamonds in the street acting like blades of grass and wondering why ain't nobody buying these diamonds, because they could just pick them up and take them home. They don't have to buy them. They're not protected by anything. They're not guarded by anything. They're just so freely given that why should I value something that is so freely given to me that I'm going to get whether I value it or not? So what's the incentive? So as ladies, we have got to be the change agents that we want to see. We got to teach our girls better. We got to be really just willing to have these conversations with grown women, because a lot of us grown women were not actively taught these things. And I thank God for my mom, because she did teach me a lot when it came to relationships. And my mom was I'm a product of a single parent. My mom was not married to my father. In fact, my mom had me when she was 17. I always tell people I graduated high school twice because I walked across the stage with my mom. I was in my mom's stomach, and then, hey, God kind of spoke to me and said, maybe that's that's probably why you got all that wisdom, because you graduated twice. But yeah, I always say, even two single parents, don't think that just because you are a single mom that you can't teach your child different, and don't think that the trajectory of your life can't be different. I see single moms getting married all the time. I see single moms being valued by great men all the time. So I'm not saying that if you're a single mom or a single parent that all is lost. But what I'm saying, if we want to break these cycles, we got to start introducing and injecting some wisdom into our children, their mindset, and also into our behaviors. We got to start modeling better, because as a single parent, you always going to want your child to have better than what you had. As a parent, period, whether you're single or with someone. But a lot of that comes with the things that we're instilling in our children from when they're young. We don't wait till they get older to try to teach them these things. These are lessons that need to be regurgitated and modeled throughout the home, all throughout life, so that they actually understand the value of it once they get older, because that's been imprinted on who they are in their morals and their value system. So I'm not going to be on here anymore, but please do me a favor. Check out my website, Date Well, Marry Well. Check out my store. These shirts here also have the mugs, Wisdom Over WAP. In the back, you see my book, Date Well, Marry Well, the little black book for the single marriage-minded woman. But yeah, leave your thoughts and your comments in the comment section. I'd love to hear from you. Thank you for watching. Like I said, please subscribe as I, grow my channel and grow my platform. And I just grow with you all. I wish you all the best in love and happiness in marriage and success in business and all things great. But remember, lead with wisdom. Don't lead with WAP. Okay? Wisdom over WAP. Thank you. Thank you, Simone. I really appreciate you being here, girl. Thank you so very much. I appreciate it. Love you, love you, love you. Mwah, mwah, mwah. All righty. Take care.